Okay, quiz prep for quiz number 5, events leading to the American Revolution. All right, what you're looking at is 11 questions on the front. They are basically kind of fill in the blank, or it gives you a statement and you choose from a word bank. So because there's a word bank, I consider this a much easier quiz than we've had in the past. There are 4 bonus questions on the back. Now, to do well on this test, you're going to need to know several things. For the bonus, there are things coming back from the past. When was Jamestown founded? Virginia House of Burgesses, when did that happen? Mayflower Compact, when did that happen? French and Indian War, when did that happen? Magna Carta, when did that happen? English Bill of Rights. Some dates for these things: the American Revolution, Stamp Act, Boston Massacre. You need to know dates for these kinds of things, so they're going to ask you a lot. Okay, of course this is really over all the tariffs and taxes that were being imposed on the colonists at this time from the repeal of the salutary neglect. So the 8 main acts, the sheet that you had with the boxes on it, it gave you the act, it told you the bullets of all the information about the acts. The bullets are what you really want to focus on in your quiz prep. That material was given to you, and then what you did in class is you filled in what was Great Britain's view on that act, and then what were the colonists' view on that act. So, Navigation Act. It restricted colonial trade, and it said the British ships were the only ships allowed to transport imported and exported goods from the colonies. We knew that. The colonies were only allowed to trade with the British. Anything produced in the colonies could only be exported to British ports. All right, that's the Navigation Acts. Important to know. Now, even though we didn't call it an act, the Proclamation of 1763, it prohibited colonists from settling west of the Appalachian Mountains into the Ohio River Valley where they wanted to go. So that's Proclamation 1763. That's on there. You need to know it. I would study, the Sugar Act. It was a tax on sugar, molasses, and other products shipped to the colonies. Now, quartering. We don't use that term very much, but to quarter something is to house something, and it required colonists to house British soldiers in their homes and provide them with supplies. And that was the Quartering Act, and the colonists absolutely didn't like that. You can imagine having to have military personnel housed in your home, and you had to provide them with food and shelter and other supplies, and it was required by law, and you had to comply with it because you were a British citizen of the Crown. Stamp Act. Colonists had to use official stamped paper for legal documents. Almanacs, newspapers, playing cards, diplomas, contracts, wills, etc. as proof that the tax had been paid. Colonists boycotted British goods. And this idea of boycotting, another idea, we learned about this today, civil disobedience. That was one way to be civilly disobedient, but to send a strong and powerful message to Britain, the mother country, that we are absolutely not okay with this and we're not going to stand for it. It wasn't violent, but it sent the message. Townshend Act, or the Townshend Act. It was a tax on items brought into the colonies such as glass, paper, paint, lead, tea. Britain enforced the act by using writs of assistance, which was essentially a search warrant, allowing British officers to enter homes to check for smuggled goods. The Tea Act. Tea was popular in the colonies, and most of it was smuggled in from Holland. The Tea Act required that all tea come through the British East India Company. The tea would come into that company's ships and be sold by its merchants. Anyone who had not been paying the tax on tea would now have to. Now, this tax on the tea, you know, really upset the colonists. They organized protests all over the country. They, you know, the most famous one was, of course, the Boston Tea Party, where the colonists disguised themselves as Native Americans, and they dumped the tea into the harbor. So 342 chests of tea were dumped into the harbor, and, you know, a display of defiance and, again, civil disobedience toward Great Britain, sending another clear message: we are not okay with this tax. The Intolerable Acts. Intolerable was a series of laws passed to punish Massachusetts colony and warn the other colonies. It was a reaction by British Parliament to the Boston Tea Party. The port of Boston was to be closed until the colonists paid for the tea they destroyed. And as far as I know, that tea has never been paid for, even to this day. So those are the big acts that you need to be aware of and knowledgeable of for tomorrow's quiz. I will also give extra credit for anyone who has researched anything on civil disobedience. You can give examples of civil disobedience that are different from the ones we talked about in class. You can give definitions, and you can talk about the power of civil disobedience, how maybe a little bit of the history of civil disobedience and the development of the United States, and how it's used today in modern times, or any other situation that it's been used effectively for people to get what they want. There is an article, if any of y'all wanted to read it, about the constitutionality of civil disobedience by Harvey Wheeler. It's long. Don't read all of it, you know, but you certainly read, if you read a quarter or a third of it, that would give you some good information on that topic, and I think it's good for you guys to explore and read documents like that. Okay, that's everything you need to know for the quiz. Get ahead video notes that are stamped before school, or if you get them to me right at the beginning of class, I will stamp them. From Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesdays, get ahead videos are also allowed to assist you on the quiz. Okay, see you tomorrow. Good luck.